Yoshihiro Hattori, a 16-year-old Japanese student who just came to this country as a foreign exchange student. He went to a birthday Halloween party. He went to knock on the door, but he went to knock on the wrong door. The owner of that door came out and pointed a gun and shot him right through the chest, point blank. He died at 16 years old. And because they said, oh, he appeared to be trespassing and looked like he had criminal intent because his eyes looked like ours. He looked like the other. Why is it important to speak out? Let's be honest. This isn't the first time that there was a misunderstanding between Hmong and white hunters that led to fear, distrust, animosity, and violence, and in some cases, death in the woods. You may say, well, how does this isolated incident in the woods affect me or you? We don't even hunt. Let me remind you that during the Chai Shua Vang trial 10 years ago, in Minneapolis, this is in another state, there were people, hate groups, handing out flyers with his picture on it saying, bashing immigrant groups. There were bumper stickers. Witnesses saw bumper stickers saying, save a deer, shoot a Hmong. During that time, a mobile home in Menominee, their home was vandalized with the big letters KKK spray paint on the side of it. At the Chai Shua Vang trial, which I attended for 6 days, there was a man dressed across the courthouse in camouflage fatigue. He held a sign that says, send Killer Vang back to Vietnam. What?
We're from Laos.
Yes, we're from Laos, exactly. On the day of the verdict, the state police specifically issued state police to patrol an elementary school in that same town. Why? Because they were fearful of what would happen to those 2 Hmong kids in that school if the verdict went a certain way, just in case. So yes, it does affect us. And as early as this morning, there was a Facebook post, and I quote from this Facebook post, trespassing is against the law. Hmong do not obey the law. Seems legit to me. Save a hunter, shoot a Hmong. That's this morning on Facebook. So why does this affect us? It does. In 2007, there was a story of a Hmong hunter named Cha Vang, for those who remember. Went hunting, never came home. The authorities later found Cha's body in a ditch and saw that he had been brutally beaten, shot multiple times. There were bullet wounds in his torso, his arms, his neck. I was also at that trial. He had been stabbed 4 times in the throat, once in the face with a large knife. He had been cut behind the ear. His body was found in a ditch, buried underneath leaves, dirt, and debris. There was a huge, heavy log that the killer put over his chest. On top of that, they found a wooden stick about 6 inches long. It was shoved down his mouth so hard, it pierced his tongue and broke his teeth. He left behind a young wife and 4 kids. He had just been in this country for a few years. At the trial of this murder, when they asked the killer, Mr. James Nichols of Peshtigo, Wisconsin, why did you do it? He said, you guys have never met each other before. Why did you do it? He said, oh, those Hmong people are bad. They are mean. They were disturbing my hunt.
What have we done?
What have we done?
What the hell?
I say this. We are here 2014, a month ago. A month ago today, a 64-year-old grandfather, husband, decorated Hmong veteran, went on a hunting trip. And like any other trip, he's been going for 20 years. Somehow, Mr. Sao Lu Vang ended up in a hospital, what the doctor called, with life-threatening injuries, including lacerations to his hand that required stitches, grade 4 laceration to his liver. And by the way, I've heard from the family he was wearing 5 layers of clothing, and who is now confined to a wheelchair. These injuries were caused by landowner's son, Mr. Kevin Elberg, who happened to be a trained Marine, 6 feet tall, 200 pounds, and much younger than Mr. Vang. By the way, Mr. Vang is 5'3", measured at 117 pounds. I don't speak for the family. I'm not related to them. But as a proud American and a member of CCR, which is a group called Coalition for Community Relations, I am frustrated. I am angry. I am angry because this isn't right. Hunting is a sport for recreational fun.
Yes.
It's not even a contact sport. But yet we keep hearing stories about hunters, Hmong hunters, being harassed, bullied, injured, sometimes even killed. Think about the hundreds of stories that aren't even reported. So today I come to ask the DNR and law enforcement agencies, what are you going to do to ensure the safety of hunters in the Wisconsin woods? If my dad or brother or uncle goes hunting, do I have to continue to be afraid that they might not make it home in one piece? To the District Attorney of Pepin County, Mr. John Seifert, what are you going to do to stop the violence in our communities? Do Hmong hunters have to fear for our lives when we go hunting in your county? What took you so long to announce the charges? Why are you not charging the perpetrator of this crime to the full extent of the law? Can we trust you, given your personal relationship with the perpetrator's family, to perform your role with integrity, professionalism, and without bias, as you took an oath when you swore to an oath when you took that office? And Mr. District Attorney, can we trust you to do the right thing in the name of justice? So we are asking because we have seen how the justice has failed our community before. Finally, I want to end on a positive message, because when I look at Mr. Sao Lu Vang, I see my uncle, my dad, who loved to hunt. And it's a very similar story to my dad. By the way, before when I met with the family, he wanted me to share. He said, and I quote from him, he said, when I was a soldier in war, because you guys know he was a decorated soldier in the Vietnam Secret Wars for Laos. He said, when I was a young soldier, one of my main jobs was to go into enemy territory to rescue American fighter pilots who were shot down in combat. He said they will give this to General Vang Pao will give us the order and we will go. Sometimes we will risk even 10 up to 20 lives for one American soldier friend because we value their friendship. He said, I came to this country to live a better life and to live among those friends that we saved in Southeast Asia. Yes. I do not know why. I am saddened and confused why this man did this to me. End the quote. So I'm going to end on a positive note because I think there's a lesson to be learned here. The gentleman said, I think Shua said it best. We're praying for the family to recover, but also the family. Shua, thank you for sharing that your family is also praying for Mr. Elbert's family as well, too, because like the gentleman said, some people are lost. I want to end on a positive note. 35 years ago, this lesson was from 35 years ago. I was 6 years old. Like Sao Lu's family, my family just arrived in St. Paul, Minnesota, from the refugee camps in Thailand. My father was a captain in the Hmong army fighting with the CIA. So like Mr. Sao Lu Vang, my father was experiencing depression from his native homeland and having to start all over again without language and cultural skills in this new country. So a friend convinced my dad, okay? You're sad, I know, don't talk about suicide. We're going to take you to do something fun so you have a little hope in America. They took my dad on a hunting trip in Wisconsin. I forget the name of the town. I was this 6, by the way. So on this trip, after a while, my dad got separated from his hunting party. He got lost. The sun went down. He didn't come back to the car. The group waited. They waited, and they waited. The next morning, all night they didn't hear him. The next morning they went out looking for him again. They couldn't find him. They searched and searched. It was 2 days and 2 nights. When our family finally got the call that my dad had been lost for 2 days, my mom, she collapsed. Fell to the floor. She was so weak she fainted. The thought of raising all of us, we have 10 siblings, all of us on our own, it devastated her. So she began to say, she said a Hmong cultural prayer. She Fi Yang. You know what I'm talking about. On that third day, we received a call that my dad was located, miraculously, several miles away. He had spent 2 nights in the woods. He drank water out of a stream to stay alive. He was weak, he was tired, he was hungry. And eventually he wandered up to this little cabin deep in the woods, where an older white couple was staying. The couple didn't speak Hmong. My dad didn't speak English. My dad couldn't remember the phone number. But when they saw that my dad was lost, weak, and hungry, they welcomed my dad into their cabin. They gave him food and a warm blanket. And you see, my dad lived because they didn't see my dad as a trespassing Asian hunter. They saw my dad as another human being lost in the woods. To this day, I'm so grateful to that old couple because they saved my dad's life. And because of them, I was able to grow up with a father figure. To this day, I don't know if I could ever repay them for what, I don't know if I could ever repay them and whether or not they're even still alive. But I cannot help but think, what if they had seen my dad as a trespasser instead of a fellow human being? I can only imagine how different things would be. So, how different would things would be if we saw each other as our fellow human beings instead of landowners versus trespassers? As American-born versus illegals. We are Hmong, yes, but just like you, we are Americans. Just like you, we are Minnesotans. Just like you, we are Wisconsinites. I end with the quote from Dr. King: we must learn to live as brothers or perish together as fools. And I brought this photo from a buddy of mine on Facebook. It represents how we want to be viewed. We are proud Americans. We're not some backward people coming here to steal anyone's land or take anyone's tax dollars.
Right.
This is a picture of a young Hmong American man and his 3 children. It shows, yes, this is symbolic of who we are. We're not Asian trespassing hunters looking to do damage to you. We are your neighbors. Justice for Sao Lu Vang and his family.